You think a nice suit means the court will believe you? The words land like a slap across the marble steps of Ridgewater County Courthouse. 7:43 in the morning. The sun barely clearing the oak trees that line Jefferson Avenue. A black woman in a gray blazer stands frozen mid-step, her taxi already pulling away from the curb, leaving her alone with 4 uniforms closing in from 3 directions. The police radio crackles before she can respond. The dispatcher's voice cuts through the morning air, loud enough for the gathering pedestrians to hear every syllable. Dispatch to Unit 47. Suspect Kendra Hawthorne. Warrant number 2024 RW00891. Charges: financial fraud under State Code Section 817.034. Wire fraud. Forgery. Suspect considered flight risk. Proceed with immediate apprehension. The sergeant leading the arrest, a thick-necked man with 20 years of swagger baked into every movement, already has his cuffs open. His name tag reads Terrell. His smile suggests he has been waiting for this moment longer than the drive from the precinct. Kendra Hawthorne does not run, does not scream, does not cry. She turns her head slowly, taking in the scene with the practiced calm of someone cataloging evidence, rather than experiencing panic. The badge numbers, the positioning of the officers, the cell phones already rising from the crowd like digital periscopes. Where is the warrant? Her voice carries no tremor. I want to see the original document. Terrell's smile widens. He does not answer. Instead, his partner, a younger officer whose nervous energy suggests this is his first high-profile collar, grabs her wrist and spins her toward the hood of the patrol car. The metal is cold against her cheek. The morning dew soaks into her blazer. Someone in the crowd shouts something about black lawyers and fraud. The words ugly and predictable. The handcuffs click shut. The sound echoes across the courthouse steps, the very steps she was supposed to climb today. Though not like this. Never like this. Terrell leans close, his breath carrying the staleness of precinct coffee. Comfortable, counselor? Get used to it. She says nothing, but her eyes track every detail. The timestamp on the dash cam across the street. The angle of the security camera above the courthouse entrance. The faces of witnesses who will remember this moment. The cruiser door opens. The cage awaits. And somewhere in the back of her mind, a single thought crystallizes with perfect clarity. Someone wanted this to happen before 9 a.m. Someone with access. Someone with motive. Someone who knew exactly where she would be standing at 7:43 on this particular morning. The question is not whether she will find out who. The question is what she will do when she does. The back seat of a patrol car smells like disinfectant and desperation. Kendra sits behind the metal partition, her hands cuffed in front rather than behind. A small procedural mercy that tells her something about how this arrest was planned. Standard protocol for non-violent suspects. Someone wanted this to look legitimate on paper. She counts the turns. Left onto Madison, right onto 14th. Straight through the yellow light at Commerce Street. The mental map of Ridgewater unfolds in her mind automatically, each intersection confirming what she already suspected. They are taking the long route, adding time, building narrative. The dash cam mounted on the windshield blinks red, but the light stutters every few seconds. Inconsistent recording. Either a malfunction or something deliberately tampered with. She files the observation away. Officer Derek Sloan rides shotgun, his eyes constantly flicking to the rearview mirror. Young. Maybe 3 years on the force. The kind of nervous energy that comes from knowing something is wrong, but lacking the rank to say it out loud. Terrell drives with one hand on the wheel, the other drumming against the door in a rhythm that suggests satisfaction rather than tension. A man who believes he has already won. "First time in the back of a cruiser?" Sloane asks, trying to sound casual, but landing somewhere between curious and uncomfortable. She does not respond. "Or maybe," he continues, filling the silence with implication, "you are already familiar with the view?" The question hangs in the air. Terrell chuckles from the driver's seat, but says nothing. The partnership dynamic is clear. Sloane is the one who pokes. Terrell is the one who waits. Kendra watches the city pass through tinted windows. A bodega owner sweeping his sidewalk. A mother pushing a stroller toward the park. Normal people starting normal days, unaware that 3 blocks away, a woman's life is being dismantled in slow motion. The dashboard clock reads 7:58. She notices it runs 3 minutes slow. Another detail, another thread. They pull into the Ridgewater Police Department parking structure at 8:12. The underground lot is cool and echoing, fluorescent lights casting everything in that particular shade of institutional gray that makes guilt feel inevitable, regardless of innocence. Terrell opens her door with exaggerated courtesy. "Watch your head, ma'am." The booking area smells like printer ink and stale coffee. The fluorescent lights hum at a frequency designed to wear down resistance. A row of plastic chairs lines one wall, occupied by the morning's collection of unfortunate souls. A drunk sleeping off his night. A teenager in 2 big clothes looking terrified. An older man staring at nothing. The desk sergeant barely looks up as Terrell approaches. Paperwork appears. Forms multiply. The machinery of accusation begins to turn. A woman emerges from behind the counter. 50s. Hair pulled back tight. Reading glasses on a chain around her neck. Her name tag identifies her as Nina Presswood, and her expression suggests she has already decided guilt based on melanin alone. "Hawthorne." She says the name like she is tasting something spoiled. "I thought that sounded familiar. Turns out, it is this kind." She pushes the booking forms across the counter with the back of her hand, as if direct contact might contaminate her. The fingerprinting station is cold. The ink is colder. Kendra presses her thumb against the scanner, watching the digital readout capture the unique patterns that identify her to the state. Right thumb, right index, right middle. The officer conducting the process, a young woman who will not meet her eyes, guides her hand through each position with mechanical efficiency. The mugshot station follows. Turn left, turn right, face forward. The camera flash leaves spots in her vision. Her belongings are catalogued and sealed. 1 leather briefcase containing documents, 1 cell phone, 1 wallet, 1 watch. She notices the officer handling her phone. A bald man with a coffee stain on his collar. Press the power button until the screen goes dark before dropping it into the evidence bag. That is not protocol. Protocol requires airplane mode, not complete shutdown. Someone does not want her phone pinging any towers while she is in custody. Someone does not want a digital trail. "Interrogation Room B," Terrell announces, taking her elbow with unnecessary firmness. "Time for a chat." The room is exactly what central casting would order. Metal table bolted to the floor. 2 chairs. One-way mirror covering the far wall. A camera in the corner that may or may not be recording. She sits, waits, catalogs. The door opens 12 minutes later. A man enters carrying a laptop and a thick manila folder. He is 40, give or take. Sharp features, the kind of precisely maintained stubble that suggests calculated casualness. His badge identifies him as Detective Marshall Vance, Financial Crimes Unit. He sits across from her, opens the laptop, and angles the screen so she can see. Spreadsheets, bank statements, email headers. $74,000. His voice carries the practiced patience of a man who believes he has all the answers. Transferred from the Ridgewater Community Trust into a personal account registered to your name, March 15th. Your signature on the authorization form. He turns the laptop fully toward her. The document displayed shows a wire transfer confirmation, a scanned signature, and a timestamp. This email, sent from k.hawthorne@ridgewaterlaw.com, requests expedited processing of the transfer. He taps the screen. The attachment contains your signature. Digital forensics confirms the account originated from your IP address. Kendra looks at the screen, studies the signature piece, notes the perfectly uniform slant, the mathematically precise spacing between letters. I want to see the metadata. Vance's fingers pause over the keyboard. Excuse me? The metadata. Original timestamp, source IP, full email header showing the routing path. For 3 seconds, Vance does not move. His expression flickers through several stages: surprise, recalibration, and finally dismissal. You are not in a position to make demands, Ms. Hawthorne. I am not making demands. Her voice remains level. I am requesting standard documentation that any competent investigation would already have prepared, unless this investigation is something other than competent. Vance closes the laptop with more force than necessary. Stands. Gathers his folder. We will continue this conversation when you are feeling more cooperative. He leaves. The door clicks shut with a sound like punctuation. She sits alone in the gray room, mentally replaying every detail of the evidence presented. The signature was too perfect. 3 samples with identical slant angles, identical pressure distribution, identical spacing. Human signatures vary. That is what makes them signatures. Only digital copies maintain perfect consistency. Someone created those documents. Someone with access to her name, her email format, and enough technical skill to make the fabrication convincing at first glance. But not convincing enough for someone who has spent 14 years taking apart exactly this kind of fraud. 2 hours pass. The clock on the interrogation room wall ticks forward with institutional indifference. Kendra sits straight-backed in the metal chair, hands folded on the table, breathing measured and deliberate. The door opens. Terrell fills the frame. Phone call time. He does not sound happy about it. 3 minutes, make them count. The public phone station is a relic from a previous decade, a metal shelf with a receiver attached by armored cord. She picks up the handset, presses it to her ear. Nothing. No dial tone, no static, just the hollow silence of a disconnected line. Line is out. Sloan appears at Terrell's shoulder, shoulders arranged into something like an apology. Tech problem. Should be fixed by Monday. Today is Friday. 72 hours without counsel. 72 hours for evidence to be manufactured, witnesses to be coached, narratives to solidify. The timing is not coincidental. Kendra replaces the receiver, examines the cord where it connects to the wall. The jack is not damaged. The wire is not cut. It has simply been unplugged, carelessly, by someone who did not expect her to look closely. Third time asking, she says, her voice carrying across the booking area. I am invoking my Sixth Amendment right to counsel. This is a documented request. Terrell's expression does not change. Documented where? Here. She gestures at the security camera above the phone station. Timestamp approximately 11:23 a.m. Badge number 6722. Sergeant Wade Terrell. Witness present, Officer Derek Sloan. Request for legal representation denied due to allegedly malfunctioning equipment that shows no visible damage. Something shifts in Terrell's posture. A tightening around the eyes. The micro-expression of a man realizing he may have underestimated something. Get her back to holding, he says to Sloan. She can make her call when the line is fixed. The holding area is a different kind of gray. Concrete walls, steel benches, the smell of anxiety and industrial cleaning solution. A single window near the ceiling offers a rectangle of sky so small it might as well be a postcard from another world. Kendra sits, waits, listens. Through the wall comes the murmur of voices, two men talking in the adjacent room. The words are muffled but not inaudible, the construction quality of county facilities being what it is. Sign here, and here, initial here. And you are certain about the amount? $74,000. She offered it to me directly. Said if I signed the paperwork, she would make my record disappear. I refused. She threatened to destroy me. The voice is male, middle-aged. There is something rehearsed about the cadence, pauses in wrong places, emphasis on specific phrases. The rhythm of someone reading from preparation rather than speaking from memory. A witness, or more precisely, a performance of one. Kendra has sat across from hundreds of witnesses in her career. She knows the difference between recollection and recitation. This man is not remembering. He is delivering lines. The conversation continues. More signatures, more affirmations, then footsteps moving away, and the sound of a handshake through drywall. She closes her eyes, not from exhaustion, from concentration. 14 years of depositions and cross-examinations have trained her memory to near photographic precision. The voice, the phrases, the specific structure of the accusation. 74,000. Make my record disappear. Threaten to destroy me. Someone has not just manufactured evidence. Someone has manufactured a human being willing to swear to it. If you are following this story, hit that subscribe button now, because what happens next will change everything. The evening news finds her in the holding cell. A small television mounted in the corner of the booking area, volume low but audible, delivers the day's headlines to whoever happens to be processing through the system. Local attorney arrested this morning on fraud charges. Sources within the Ridgewater Police Department confirm the suspect, identified as Kendra Hawthorne, allegedly embezzled over $70,000 from a community development fund. According to officials, the investigation has uncovered additional irregularities that may lead to further charges. The anchor's voice is professionally neutral, but the crawl at the bottom of the screen tells a different story. Black attorney arrested in massive fraud scheme. The massive is editorial. The scheme is speculation. But by morning, both words will be facts in the minds of everyone who sees them. A woman in the holding cell, middle-aged, hauled in on a public intoxication charge, recognizes the face on the screen and turns to stare at Kendra with unveiled contempt. "That is you, is it not? The con artist?" Kendra does not respond. "They are saying you stole from a community fund, a fund for regular people." The woman's voice rises, fueled by the righteous outrage of someone who has found a target for her own humiliation. "People like me. And you thought you could get away with it because you have a fancy degree and a nice smile?" Still nothing. "Typical." The woman spits the word. "Your kind always thinks the rules do not apply." Across the room, The news broadcast continues. A reporter stands outside the Ridgewater courthouse, the same steps where Kendra was arrested 8 hours ago, interviewing passers-by about their reactions. "Not surprised?" says an older white man in a fishing cap. "You see it all the time. They get a little education, a little power, and they think they can take whatever they want." "It is sad," adds a woman holding a grocery bag. "You want to believe people can change, but then something like this happens, and you remember who you are dealing with." The broadcast cuts to a source within the courthouse. A silhouette with disguised voice that Kendra recognizes immediately from the cadence and specific phrasing. Nina Presswood, the booking clerk, speaking anonymously but unmistakably. The evidence is overwhelming. Multiple transactions, forged documents, a clear pattern of deception. It is honestly one of the most brazen cases I have seen in 20 years. The words land with calculated precision, not facts, implications, not evidence, atmosphere. By tomorrow, every potential juror in Ridgewater County will have seen this broadcast and formed opinions that no instruction from any judge will ever fully erase. Kendra watches the screen, her expression revealing nothing, but behind her eyes, pieces are connecting. Nina Presswood did not decide independently to contact the media. Someone instructed her. Someone who understood that the court of public opinion moves faster than the court of law, and verdicts rendered in living rooms cannot be appealed. The night shift arrives. New guards, new faces, but the same institutional machinery grinding forward. Indifferent to innocence or guilt. Processing bodies through a system designed more for efficiency than justice. At 9:47 p.m., she is moved to a larger holding cell. 4 other women occupy the space. 2 young ones picked up on minor charges. An elderly woman sleeping off whatever brought her here. And someone new. A large woman with elaborate tattoos covering both arms who watches Kendra enter with an expression that suggests prior instruction. "You are Hawthorne." Not a question. A confirmation. Kendra takes a seat on the bench farthest from the door. "And you are?" "Someone who got a message." The woman stands, approaches. A friendly message about what happens to lawyers who do not know their place. The attack comes fast. A lunge. A grab. The other women scattered to the corners of the cell, making themselves small, invisible, absent. Kendra does not punch, does not kick, does not meet force with force. She pivots, uses the woman's momentum against her, a single smooth rotation that redirects, rather than resists. The attacker stumbles past, her own weight carrying her into the concrete wall with a sound that echoes through the holding area. One motion. Clean. Controlled. The product of training that the woman did not expect and cannot counter. "Stay down." Kendra's voice is calm. "I do not want additional complications." The guard arrives 30 seconds later, flashlight sweeping the cell. "What happened here?" Kendra raises both hands, palms open. "Self-defense. Camera in the ceiling, northeast corner, will show she initiated contact. Timestamp is 9:51 p.m. I am prepared to provide a statement." The guard's flashlight pauses on the woman still catching her breath against the wall. Then on Kendra, standing composed in the center of the cell, not a hair out of place. "Get her to the infirmary," the guard says to her partner. "And get this one's statement." The statement takes 40 minutes. Kendra provides it with the precision of someone who has taken hundreds of such accounts. Every detail specific, every timeline exact, every fact verifiable against the recording that she knows exists. At 11:17 p.m., she is returned to a different cell. Solitary this time. A courtesy the guard says, for her own protection. But Kendra knows what it really is. Isolation. Cutting her off from other inmates who might become witnesses. Creating space for whatever comes next. She sits on the metal bench, back straight, and waits for morning. Sleep does not come. She does not expect it to. Saturday arrives gray and drizzling, the kind of weather that makes concrete buildings look even more forbidding than usual. Kendra has been in custody for approximately 26 hours when Detective Vance returns. His folder is thicker now. His confidence, somehow, has grown. New developments. He spreads documents across the interrogation table like a dealer laying out cards. 3 additional transactions we did not know about yesterday. Total exposure now sits at $142,000. All bearing your signature. He slides 3 papers toward her. Each contains a wire transfer authorization. Each contains a signature that looks, at first glance, exactly like hers. Kendra studies them, takes her time, traces each letter with her eyes. These 3 signatures share identical characteristics. Her voice carries the detached tone of analysis rather than emotion. The slant angle on the K measures approximately 23 degrees in all 3 samples. The spacing between the A and W in Hawthorne is precisely 4 millimeters each time. The pressure distribution, visible in the ink density, shows no variation. Vance's pen stops moving. Human signatures do not work that way, Detective. They vary. Slightly different mood, slightly different pen angle, slightly different result. Only digital copies maintain perfect consistency. She looks up. These are not my signatures. They are reproductions of a single captured image, duplicated 3 times. For a long moment, Vance does not speak. His jaw works silently, as if chewing on a response he cannot quite swallow. That is an interesting theory. It is not a theory. It is forensic analysis. Any qualified document examiner will reach the same conclusion within 4 hours of receiving these materials. Vance gathers the papers, stands. His expression has shifted from confidence to something more guarded. The look of a man who has just realized the ground beneath him might not be as solid as advertised. We will see what the examiner says. He leaves. The door closes, and Kendra permits herself a small, invisible exhale. They have made their first mistake. In their haste to build an overwhelming case, they have overbuilt. Too much evidence. Too perfect. Too convenient. And now, someone with the knowledge to spot the flaws is sitting exactly where they put her. Monday morning brings the preliminary hearing. Ridgewater County Courthouse, Courtroom 4. The same building where, 3 days ago, Kendra expected to enter through the front door. Instead, she arrives through the basement tunnel in orange jumpsuit and plastic sandals. The gallery is half full. Reporters occupy the first 2 rows, notebooks open, pens ready. Behind them, a scattered collection of curious onlookers, courthouse regulars, and people who simply want to watch someone's life unravel in real time. The prosecution table hosts Assistant District Attorney Gordon Price, a career climber in his early 40s who has never met a camera he did not like. His suit costs more than a patrol officer's monthly salary. His smile suggests he already knows how this will end. The defense table is empty except for Kendra. No attorney, no paralegal, just the defendant and a legal pad borrowed from the courthouse supply closet. Judge Margaret Calloway takes the bench. 63. Gray-haired. Known throughout the county as firm but fair. Assuming you meet her standard of proper decorum. The state of Florida versus Kendra Hawthorne. The judge's voice carries the weariness of someone who has processed too many of these mornings. Preliminary hearing on charges of financial fraud, wire fraud, and forgery. Mr. Price, is the state prepared? We are, Your Honor. Price rises, buttoning his jacket with practiced smoothness. The state requests the defendant be held without bail. The amounts involved, $142,000 across multiple fraudulent transactions, demonstrate both the severity of the charges and the defendant's capacity for sophisticated criminal enterprise. Furthermore, as an attorney with knowledge of the legal system, the defendant poses a significant flight risk. Calloway's eyes move to the defense table. Ms. Hawthorne, I understand you are proceeding pro se. Do you wish to respond? Kendra stands. Her jumpsuit is the same orange as every other defendant who has stood in this spot, but something in her posture transforms the uniform from mark of shame to temporary costume. Your Honor, I request the court's consideration on 3 procedural matters before addressing the question of bail. Calloway's eyebrow rises. Proceed. First, warrant number 2024 RBW00891, under which I was arrested Friday morning, contains no judicial signature. The document shows only a stamp reading emergency authorization without identifying the authorizing official. Under Florida Rule of Criminal Procedure 3.121, an arrest warrant requires the signature of a judge with appropriate jurisdiction. No such signature exists on my warrant. She pauses, allows the words to settle. Second, I was denied access to legal counsel for the first 72 hours of my detention. My requests, documented via security camera at 11:23 a.m. Friday, 2:47 p.m. Friday, and 9:15 a.m. Saturday, were refused on grounds of malfunctioning telephone equipment. Upon examination, the phone line showed no visible damage and appeared to have been simply disconnected from the wall jack. This constitutes a violation of my Sixth Amendment rights. Price shifts in his seat. His smile has not disappeared, but it has lost some of its certainty. Third, the signature evidence presented by the prosecution shows characteristics consistent with digital reproduction rather than authentic human writing. I request independent forensic analysis of all documentary evidence conducted by a certified examiner with no prior relationship to Ridgewater law enforcement. The courtroom has gone very still. Judge Calloway looks down at the paperwork before her, then at the prosecution table, then at the woman in orange who has just disassembled the state's case like someone unscrewing a poorly assembled piece of furniture. Mr. Price? Response? Price stands again, slower this time. Your Honor, the defendant's claims are self-serving assertions designed to distract from the overwhelming evidence of her guilt. The warrant was executed according to standard emergency procedures. The phone situation was an unfortunate technical issue, and the signature analysis will be conducted, Calloway interrupts, by an independent examiner. I am ordering that analysis be completed and submitted to the court within 14 days. She turns to Kendra. As for bail, do you have a proposal, Ms. Hawthorne? Standard bail for nonviolent financial crimes in this jurisdiction ranges from $25,000 to $75,000. I have no prior criminal record, strong ties to this community, and no history suggesting flight risk. I request bail be set at $50,000. Calloway considers. Price opens his mouth to object, but the judge speaks first. Bail is set at $50,000. The defendant will surrender her passport and submit to weekly check-ins with the Pretrial Services Office. She bangs the gavel. Court is adjourned. This case is about to take a turn no one saw coming. Stay with me. The bail bond takes 7 hours to process. 7 hours of paperwork and waiting, and the particular purgatory of bureaucracy grinding at its own indifferent pace. But at 4:17 p.m. on Monday afternoon, Kendra Hawthorne walks out of the Ridgewater County Detention Center a free woman. Conditionally, the afternoon sun hits her face like a physical force after 3 days of fluorescent lights. She stands on the steps, blinking, adjusting. The orange jumpsuit has been replaced by the gray suit she was wearing when arrested, wrinkled now, carrying the particular mustiness of the evidence locker. A black sedan waits across the street. Its engine is off, but someone sits behind the wheel, watching. Kendra notices, but does not react. She descends the steps, eyes forward, until she reaches the sidewalk. Only then does she turn toward the car. The driver's window slides down. The face that emerges hits her like a blow to the sternum. Familiar in a way that aches. Changed in ways that speak to the years between. Jordan Corsair, 50 years old now. Silver touching the temples of hair that used to be pure black. The same sharp features, the same calculating eyes, the same smile that never quite matched the warmth it pretended to convey. 12 years. His voice carries the particular smoothness of someone who has practiced many conversations in many mirrors. You still look the same, Kendra. Resilient. That was always the word. She does not approach the car, does not run, does not look away. Ridgewater is a small town, Corsair continues, filling the silence she will not break. Word travels, especially word about someone trying to climb the ladder without checking who might be standing on the rungs above. Still nothing from her. But her weight shifts slightly. A subtle redistribution that someone trained to read body language would recognize as preparation rather than retreat. I have a long memory. His smile widens, but his eyes remain cold. You know that. You knew it 12 years ago when you made your choice. And you know it now. The window begins to rise. Welcome back to Ridgewater, counselor. The sedan pulls away. Kendra watches until it turns the corner and disappears. Corsair. After all this time, the pieces realign themselves in her mind. The timing of the arrest, the sophistication of the forgeries, the coordinated media campaign, the manufactured witness. This is not a random act of corruption or a simple case of police overreach. This is architecture, deliberate, personal, years in the making. 12 years ago, she had discovered something about Jordan Corsair, something he thought was buried, something that cost him everything he believed he deserved. Now he has returned to collect. The question is no longer who is behind this. The question is how deep the conspiracy runs, and how many people he has recruited to help him finish what he started. The second week begins with investigation. Kendra operates from a borrowed office, a small space above a print shop that her aunt's church owns and occasionally uses for community meetings. No computer connected to any network she does not control. No phone that can be traced to a contract. Just legal pads, pens, and the particular kind of focus that comes from having nothing left to lose. Day 1. She compiles a list of everyone who had access to her professional email account over the past 2 years. The domain registrar, the hosting service, her former law firm's IT department. 7 names, each requiring verification. Day 2. She reviews every financial transaction associated with her accounts for the past 18 months, looking for patterns, looking for anomalies, looking for the moment when someone planted the seeds that would later bloom into $74,000 of manufactured evidence. Day 3. She finds Trevor Okonkwo. The man who arrives at the borrowed office that afternoon is younger than she expected, early 30s, wearing a hoodie that probably cost more than her monthly rent, carrying a laptop that definitely cost more than her monthly rent. His credentials include a certified fraud examiner certification, a master's degree in digital forensics from Georgia Tech, and a reputation for dismantling complex financial crimes that most investigators cannot even conceptualize. The email first. He connects cables, opens programs, starts the digital archaeology. You said it came from your address, but you did not send it. Let us see what the data says. The answer arrives in less than an hour. IP address 192.168.1.47. Trevor points to a line of code on his screen. That is the originating address for the email. Standard format for internal network devices. But here is the thing. That IP belongs to the Ridgewater Police Department's administrative server. Kendra leans forward. You are certain? I traced it through 4 proxy layers. Someone tried to hide it, but they used a VPN service that logs traffic despite claiming otherwise. The originating point is definitely Ridgewater PD. He pulls up another window. And the timestamp. The email was sent at 2:34 a.m. on March 14th. The bank transfer it supposedly authorized. That did not happen until March 15th. Someone built the justification before they committed the crime. The implications cascade. This was not opportunistic. This was not improvised. Someone with access to police systems created a paper trail specifically designed to frame her. And they did it at least 24 hours before the money moved. What about the witness? Kendra asks. Darren Fitch, the man who signed the statement against me. Trevor's fingers fly across the keyboard. Already looked. Here is what I found. The screen fills with records, criminal history, court filings, probation documents. Darren Eugene Fitch, 3 prior convictions, theft, insurance fraud, perjury. That last one is interesting, right? Man has already been convicted once of lying under oath. He scrolls down. Gets better. Fitch was serving 18 months at the county correctional facility until 6 months ago, when he was released early. Want to guess who signed the recommendation for early release? Kendra's jaw tightens. Sergeant Wade Terrell. Got it in one. Trevor leans back. They did not find a witness. They created one. Someone they had leverage over. Someone who would say whatever they needed him to say in exchange for staying out of a cell. The evidence of conspiracy grows with each discovery. But evidence without process is just information. It needs to become part of a record. It needs to be authenticated, documented, presented in ways that courts will accept and juries will understand. It needs to become something stronger than the lies arrayed against her. Day 4 brings the FOIA request response. The envelope arrives via certified mail, bearing the return address of the Ridgewater Police Department Records Division. Inside, a single sheet of paper that manages to say everything and nothing at the same time. Freedom of Information Act Request Number 2024-0892. Dear Ms. Hawthorne, body camera footage from the arrest conducted on March 15, 2024 is unavailable due to technical malfunction. Approximately 11 minutes of recording from 7:41 a.m. to 7:52 a.m. were not captured. We regret any inconvenience this may cause. Regards, Records Division, Ridgewater Police Department. 11 minutes. 7:41 to 7:52. Kendra sets the letter down, picks it up again, reads it a second time, as if the words might rearrange themselves into something less damning. 7:41 a.m. is when the arrest began, 7:52 a.m. is when she was placed in the patrol car. 11 minutes that would show whether Miranda rights were read, whether excessive force was used, whether proper procedures were followed. 11 minutes that have conveniently ceased to exist. She reaches for her legal pad, begins writing. Technical malfunction. That phrase appears in the police procedural manual exactly twice. Once regarding equipment that fails to activate. Once regarding equipment that is deliberately disabled. The distinction is supposed to be documented in the shift supervisor's incident log. She makes a note. Adds it to the growing list of records she will need to subpoena. The camera did not malfunction. Cameras in active operation do not selectively fail for precisely the duration of an arrest and then resume functioning afterward. Someone turned it off. Someone with the ability to do so remotely, which means someone in the department's technical infrastructure division. Another thread. Another connection. Another name to add to the web. Day 5. Lieutenant Simone Aldridge finds her. The knock on the borrowed office door comes at 3:47 p.m. Kendra opens it to find a woman standing in the hallway. Mid-40s, short hair going gray at the temples. Eyes that carry the particular weariness of someone who has spent decades watching systems fail the people they are supposed to protect. Ms. Hawthorne. The woman does not smile, does not offer a handshake, just states the name like confirmation of identity. I am Lieutenant Aldridge, Internal Affairs Division. May I come in? Kendra steps aside. Aldridge enters the small office, takes in the stacks of documents, the legal pads covered in notes, the evidence of investigation spreading across every surface. If she is surprised by the scope of what she sees, her expression does not show it. I am not here in any official capacity. She takes the chair Kendra offers. This conversation is not happening. Nothing said in this room will appear in any report. Then why are you here? Aldridge is quiet for a moment, considering her words. When she speaks, her voice carries the weight of decisions made in full knowledge of their consequences. I have been with Ridgewater PD for 23 years. I have watched good officers become bad ones. I have watched bad officers become worse. I have filed reports that disappeared into file cabinets and never emerged. And I have kept my mouth shut, because that is what the job requires. She meets Kendra's eyes. But your arrest, something about it does not match. The warrant. I pulled the file. The original document, the one that should have a judge's signature, it does not exist in our system, only a scan. And that scan was uploaded at 8:15 a.m. on the day you were arrested. 30 minutes after I was already in handcuffs. Aldridge nods. Someone created the paperwork after the fact. Someone with administrative access to the record system. The confirmation settles into place alongside everything else Kendra has gathered. Warrant fabrication, evidence manipulation, witness creation, camera disabling. Each element requires different access, different knowledge, different capability. This is not one person. This is a network. There are people in that department who want this investigation to end quickly, Aldridge continues. People who have spent years building something they do not want, examined too closely. Your arrest put a spotlight on things that were supposed to stay in shadow. Who? Kendra asks. Which people? Aldridge stands, moves toward the door, pauses with her hand on the frame. I cannot give you names, not yet. But I can tell you this. Watch who benefits. Watch who protects. Watch who does not ask questions when questions should be asked. She opens the door, hesitates. And Ms. Hawthorne, whatever you have planned, whatever you are building toward, be careful. The people you are up against have been playing this game much longer than you have. The door closes. Footsteps recede down the hallway. Kendra stands alone in the small office, surrounded by the evidence of a conspiracy that grows larger with each discovery. Aldridge's warning echoes in her mind, but so does something else. Watch who benefits. She returns to her legal pad, draws a diagram, names connected by lines, access connected by arrows. At the center, a circle with two words, Jordan Corsair. He benefits. He has resources. He has motive. But he does not have direct access to police systems. He does not have the ability to manipulate records or disable body cameras or plant witnesses. Someone inside the department is helping him. Someone with authority. The question is who? If this story is hitting different, drop a like. It helps more than you know. Friday of the second week. 10 days since the arrest that was not supposed to be questioned. Kendra has spent the intervening time building her case the way she built cases for 14 years, methodically, comprehensively, with attention to details that most people would overlook. Trevor's digital analysis. The FOIA response documenting the missing footage. Aldridge's unofficial confirmation of warrant irregularities. The pattern of Darren Fitch's criminal history and his convenient early release. Each piece tells part of the story. Together, they tell all of it. But telling is not enough. In the legal system, truth requires process. Evidence requires authentication. Accusations require standing. She needs a forum. The answer arrives in the form of a certified letter from the Ridgewater City Council, informing her that a public administrative hearing has been scheduled for the following Monday. The purpose? To review complaints of procedural irregularity filed by multiple parties, including the ACLU Regional Chapter, the Black Lawyers Association of Florida, and 3 unnamed witnesses who have come forward with concerns about the handling of her arrest. The letter includes a list of individuals who will be present. Representatives from the police department, the district attorney's office, the city legal department, and the independent oversight committee. It does not include the name Jordan Corsair. But Kendra knows he will be watching. Somewhere. The architect always wants to see his building fall. The weekend passes in final preparation. Documents organized into exhibits. Timelines constructed with minute-by-minute precision. Arguments drafted and redrafted until each word carries exactly the weight intended. Sunday night, she does not sleep. She sits at the borrowed desk, reviewing everything one final time, making certain that nothing has been overlooked. The hearing begins at 9 a.m. Monday. By 9:15, everything will be different. By 9:30, everything will change. The Ridgewater City Council chamber is a room designed for democracy, but sized for intimidation. High ceilings, wood paneling aged to the color of authority. A curved table where 14 council members sit in judgment, flanked by flags that remind everyone present whose laws apply. At 9 a.m. sharp, the gallery is full. Reporters fill the first 3 rows, cameras already recording. Behind them, a mixture of citizens, some curious, some concerned, some clearly present because they were told to be. The prosecution table, though this is technically not a courtroom, hosts Assistant District Attorney Gordon Price, Captain Dale Mercer of the Ridgewater Police Department, and 2 junior attorneys whose primary function appears to be looking supportive. The other table holds only Kendra, a briefcase, a stack of documents organized by exhibit number. No counsel, no paralegal, no one. Councilwoman Helen Vickers calls the hearing to order. 67 years old, silver hair, the kind of reading glasses that suggest she takes documentation seriously. This administrative hearing is convened to examine procedural complaints regarding the arrest of Ms. Kendra Hawthorne on March 15th of this year. Ms. Hawthorne, you have the right to present evidence and cross-examine witnesses. Do you understand these rights? I do, Councilwoman. Then let us proceed. The first hour belongs to the police department. Captain Mercer presents their version of events with the practiced smoothness of a bureaucrat, protecting his territory. Warrant properly executed, evidence properly gathered, procedures properly followed. Price adds legal framework, citing statutes and precedents that establish the state's authority to investigate financial crimes. His voice carries confidence, but his eyes keep returning to the briefcase on Kendra's table, as if uncertain what it contains. At 10:17 a.m., Councilwoman Vickers turns the floor over to the defendant. Kendra stands, takes a breath, steps around the table to address the chamber directly. Members of the council, I appreciate the opportunity to present facts that have not yet been considered in any official proceeding. She opens the briefcase, removes the first document. Exhibit A, the arrest warrant under which I was taken into custody. You will note the absence of any judicial signature. The document shows only a stamp reading "Emergency Authorization" without identifying the authorizing official. Under Florida Rule of Criminal Procedure 3.121, this warrant is facially defective and should never have been executed. She sets the document on the table, removes the next. Exhibit B, metadata analysis of the email that allegedly connects me to the fraudulent transfers. This analysis, conducted by certified forensic examiner Trevor Okonkwo, license number CFE 20194-472, establishes that the email originated from IP address 192.168.1.47. That address belongs to an internal server within the Ridgewater Police Department administrative network. She pauses, lets the implication settle. The email used to implicate me was sent from inside the police department. The timestamp, 2:34 a.m. on March 14th, predates the bank transfer by more than 20 hours. Someone created the evidence before the crime allegedly occurred. Murmurs from the gallery. Captain Mercer's expression shifts from confidence to something more guarded. Kendra continues. Exhibit C, criminal history and release records for Darren Fitch, the witness whose statement forms the primary basis of the charges against me. Mr. Fitch has 3 prior convictions, including one for perjury. He was released from custody 6 months ago, ahead of schedule, on the recommendation of Sergeant Wade Terrell, the same officer who led my arrest. She produces the documentation, passes copies to the council table. This is not a witness. This is a manufactured asset. A man with proven willingness to lie under oath, granted early release by the very officer who then used his testimony to justify arresting me. The gallery has gone very still. The reporters are writing furiously. Price stands. Objection. This is speculation designed to... I am not finished. Kendra's voice cuts through his protest without raising its volume. Exhibit D, response to my Freedom of Information Act request for body camera footage from the arrest. The department claims 11 minutes of recording were lost to technical malfunction. Those 11 minutes cover the exact duration of my arrest, from initial contact to placement in the patrol vehicle. The exact duration during which proper procedures should have been documented. She turns to face the council directly. Technical malfunctions do not observe convenient timing. Cameras do not selectively fail for precisely the window that would show whether officers read Miranda rights, whether force was appropriate, whether procedures were followed. Someone disabled that recording. Someone with access to the department's technical systems. Councilwoman Vickers removes her reading glasses. Her expression has shifted from administrative neutrality to something far more serious. Ms. Hawthorne, these are significant allegations. They are not allegations, Councilwoman. They are documented facts, supported by exhibits that are available for your examination and subject to independent verification. She reaches into the briefcase one final time. And now, Exhibit E. The envelope is brown manila, unremarkable in every way except for what it contains. Kendra opens it slowly, deliberately, giving the room time to prepare for whatever comes next. Inside, a single document, red seal visible through the paper. This is an appointment letter, signed by the Governor of Florida on March 10th of this year. It confirms my selection as District Attorney of Ridgewater County, effective March 15th, the same day I was arrested on fabricated charges before I could be sworn in. The silence that follows is absolute, complete, the kind of silence that precedes explosions. Someone knew I was coming. Someone knew exactly when and where I would be standing on March 15th. Someone with access to confidential gubernatorial appointments. Someone with the ability to manufacture evidence and coordinate false witnesses. Someone with enough control over police procedures to guarantee that no footage would survive. She looks at Captain Mercer, at ADA Price, at the gallery where she knows, even if she cannot see him, Jordan Corsair is listening. That person arrested a district attorney on the steps of her own courthouse, using a defective warrant, based on fabricated evidence, supported by a paid perjurer, and protected by conveniently malfunctioning cameras. She sets the appointment letter on the table. I am here to answer for the accusations made against me, but I am also here to ensure that those who made false accusations answer for theirs. The chamber erupts. The hours that follow blur together in a cascade of revelation and response. Internal Affairs officers arrive at 11:47 a.m., summoned by phone calls that Kendra did not make but anticipated. They take statements, review documents, begin the process of separating facts from fabrications. At 12:23 p.m., Sergeant Wade Terrell is escorted from the building by two officers who do not meet his eyes. His badge and weapon remain on Captain Mercer's desk. At 1:15 p.m., Detective Marshall Vance is informed that he is being reassigned pending review of his evidence handling procedures. At 2:42 p.m., Nina Presswood, the booking clerk who leaked information to the media, is handed a resignation form and a choice. At 3:17 p.m., two men in FBI windbreakers enter the chamber. They do not announce themselves. They do not need to. One of them approaches the gallery, speaks a name into the crowd. The words carry clearly through the sudden silence. Jordan Corsair, we need you to come with us. You are wanted for questioning regarding allegations of conspiracy to obstruct justice, wire fraud, and violation of civil rights under Title 18 United States Code Section 242. Somewhere in the back of the room, a man stands. Silver hair, sharp features, the same calculated smile that Kendra remembers from 12 years ago, now frozen in place as the federal agents close the distance. You think you have won. Corsair's voice carries across the chamber, calm despite the circumstances. You think this is over. Kendra does not turn around, does not give him the satisfaction of acknowledgement. It is not a matter of thinking. Her words reach the entire room. It is a matter of knowing. The agents lead him away. The chamber doors close behind them, and for the first time in 2 weeks, Kendra permits herself to breathe. The sun is setting over Ridgewater when the final session concludes. The council chamber has emptied. The reporters have filed their stories. The officials have returned to offices where difficult conversations await. Kendra stands alone at the table, gathering exhibits, organizing documents, performing the small rituals of closure that mark the end of one battle and the beginning of another. "Ms. Hawthorne?" She turns. Lieutenant Aldridge stands in the doorway, expression unreadable. "The swearing-in ceremony. The council has rescheduled it for tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., if you are still willing." Still willing? As if there were any possibility of refusal. As if 14 years of work and 2 weeks of persecution could end in anything other than taking the oath she earned. "I will be there." Aldridge nods, hesitates. Something unspoken passes between them. The recognition of what it costs to stand against systems designed for self-protection. The understanding that today's victory is just the opening argument in a much longer case. "Good night, Ms. Hawthorne." "Good night, Lieutenant." The door closes. Kendra finishes packing her briefcase. On the table beside her documents, a single item remains. The manila envelope that contained her appointment letter. Inside it now, a different paper. A printout of the email chain Trevor recovered during his analysis. Most of the correspondence is clear. Names, dates, instructions. But the final email in the sequence has been redacted. The sender's address shows only a string of asterisks. The recipient line shows 2 initials, JM, not Jordan Corsair, someone else. Someone who has not yet been identified. Someone who may still be watching, still planning, still waiting. Kendra folds the paper carefully, places it in her briefcase, closes the clasps. Tomorrow she will take the oath. Tomorrow she will begin the work she came here to do. But the case is not closed. The enemy is not defeated. Somewhere in the shadows of Ridgewater County, a person with the initials JM is reading the news, calculating responses, preparing the next move in a game that has been playing for much longer than 2 weeks. She walks out of the council chamber into the fading light. The story continues. The truth continues. And somewhere, someone is already planning their counter-move. The morning of the administrative hearing arrives with the kind of stillness that precedes storms. Kendra stands before the bathroom mirror at 6:15 a.m., adjusting the collar of her black blazer, not the gray one from the arrest. That suit will never be worn again. 3 weeks have passed since she walked out of the Ridgewater County Detention Center on bail. 3 weeks of investigation, documentation, and preparation for this moment. Trevor Okonkwo's forensic analysis sits in her briefcase. Lieutenant Aldridge's unofficial confirmation of warrant irregularities is documented. The pattern of Darren Fitch's criminal history and his convenient early release has been mapped and verified. Every piece of evidence authenticated. Every connection established. Every claim supported by documentation that will withstand scrutiny. Her phone buzzes on the nightstand. A text from Pastor Eleanor Gaines. 43 members coming to witness. We would not miss this for anything. 43 witnesses, 43 pairs of eyes that will watch what happens next. 43 voices that will carry the story forward, regardless of what newspapers print or officials claim. The drive to the Ridgewater City Council building takes 14 minutes. She parks in the public lot, walks through the main entrance like any other citizen, and takes her place in the chamber that will determine whether truth or power prevails. The Ridgewater City Council chamber is designed for democracy but sized for intimidation. High ceilings. Wood paneling aged to the color of authority. A curved table where 14 council members sit in judgment, flanked by flags that remind everyone present whose laws apply. At 9 a.m. sharp, the gallery is packed. Reporters fill the first 3 rows, cameras already recording. Behind them, a mixture of citizens. Pastor Gaines in her signature purple. Elderly couples who remember when accountability was even more impossible. Young parents with children who need to see what standing up looks like. The prosecution table, though this is technically not a courtroom, hosts Assistant District Attorney Gordon Price, Captain Dale Mercer of the Ridgewater Police Department, and two junior attorneys whose primary function appears to be looking supportive. The other table holds only Kendra, a briefcase, a stack of documents organized by exhibit number, no counsel, no paralegal, no one except the woman they tried to destroy. Councilwoman Helen Vickers calls the hearing to order. 67 years old, silver hair, reading glasses that suggest she takes documentation seriously. This administrative hearing is convened to examine procedural complaints regarding the arrest of Ms. Kendra Hawthorne on March 15th of this year. Ms. Hawthorne, you have the right to present evidence and cross-examine witnesses. Do you understand these rights? I do, Councilwoman. Then let us proceed. The first hour belongs to the police department. Captain Mercer presents their version with the practiced smoothness of a bureaucrat protecting his territory. Warrant properly executed. Evidence properly gathered. Procedures properly followed. His voice carries the particular confidence of someone who has delivered similar testimony many times before and never faced consequences. Price adds legal framework, citing statutes and precedents that establish the state's authority to investigate financial crimes. His presentation is polished, professional, designed to make the accusations against Kendra seem inevitable rather than manufactured. But his eyes keep returning to the briefcase on her table, wondering what it contains, calculating how to respond to whatever she might reveal. At 10:17 a.m., Councilwoman Vickers turns the floor over to the defendant. Kendra stands, takes a breath, steps around the table to address the chamber directly. Members of the council, I appreciate the opportunity to present facts that have not yet been considered in any official proceeding. She opens the briefcase, removes the first document. Exhibit A, the arrest warrant under which I was taken into custody. She holds it up so the council can see, then places copies on their table. You will note the absence of any judicial signature. The document shows only a stamp reading "Emergency Authorization" without identifying the authorizing official. Under Florida Rule of Criminal Procedure 3.121, an arrest warrant requires the signature of a judge with appropriate jurisdiction. No such signature exists. This warrant is facially defective and should never have been executed. She pauses, allows the implication to settle across the chamber. Exhibit B. The second document emerges from the briefcase. Metadata analysis of the email that allegedly connects me to the fraudulent transfers. This analysis was conducted by certified forensic examiner Trevor Okonkwo, license number CFE 20194-472, with full chain of custody documentation attached. She points to the relevant section. The analysis establishes that the email originated from IP address 192.168.1.47. That address belongs to an internal server within the Ridgewater Police Department administrative network. The gallery stirs. Reporters write faster. The email used to implicate me was sent from inside the police department. Not from my home, not from my office. From a computer controlled by the very people who arrested me. Furthermore, the timestamp, 2:34 a.m. on March 14th, predates the bank transfer by more than 20 hours. Someone created the justification before the alleged crime occurred. Captain Mercer's expression has shifted from confidence to something more guarded. Price whispers urgently to his associates. Exhibit C. Kendra produces the next document. Criminal history and release records for Darren Fitch, the witness whose statement forms the primary basis of the charges against me. She reads directly from the record. Mr. Fitch has 3 prior convictions: theft, insurance fraud, and perjury. That final conviction is particularly relevant. He has already been found guilty of lying under oath. He was released from custody 6 months before my arrest, ahead of schedule, on the written recommendation of Sergeant Wade Terrell. She looks up at the counsel. The same Sergeant Terrell who led my arrest. The same officer who refused to show me the warrant. The same man who told me I would receive my phone call when he decided, rather than when the law required. She sets the document down. This is not a witness. This is a manufactured asset. A man with proven willingness to commit perjury, granted early freedom by the officer who then used his testimony to justify arresting me. Councilwoman Vickers removes her reading glasses. Her expression has shifted from administrative neutrality to something far more serious. Ms. Hawthorne, these are significant allegations. They are not allegations, Councilwoman. They are documented facts, supported by exhibits available for your examination, and subject to independent verification. Kendra reaches into the briefcase one final time. And now, Exhibit 2. If you are following this story, hit that subscribe button now, because what happens next changes everything. The envelope is brown manila, unremarkable in every way except for what it contains. Kendra opens it slowly, deliberately, giving the room time to prepare. Inside, a single document with a red seal visible through the paper. The seal of the Governor of Florida. This is an appointment letter, signed by Governor Martinez on March 10th of this year. She holds it up so every camera can capture the image. It confirms my selection as District Attorney of Ridgewater County, effective March 15th, the same day I was arrested on fabricated charges, on the steps of the courthouse where I was scheduled to be sworn in. The silence that follows is absolute, complete, the kind of silence that precedes earthquakes. Someone knew I was coming. Someone knew exactly when and where I would be standing on March 15th. Someone with access to confidential gubernatorial appointments. Someone with the ability to manufacture evidence and coordinate false witnesses. Someone with enough control over police procedures to guarantee that 11 minutes of body camera footage would conveniently malfunction during my arrest. She looks directly at Captain Mercer, at A. Price, at the gallery where she knows, even if she cannot see him, Jordan Corsair is listening. That person arrested a district attorney on the steps of her own courthouse, using a defective warrant, based on fabricated evidence, supported by a paid perjurer, and protected by cameras that mysteriously failed to record. She sets the appointment letter on the table. Exhibit E. Another document. Email printouts. Internal communications recovered through digital forensic analysis. An email sent from Sergeant Terrell's department account at 6:15 a.m. on the morning of my arrest. Recipient. A personal Gmail address. I will read the content verbatim. Her voice carries clearly through the silent chamber. Quote, target confirmed. Subject arriving at courthouse at 7:45. Proceed as planned. Ensure no body cam. End quote. She produces the second page. The Gmail address, j.corsair.legal@gmail.com, is registered to Jordan Corsair, an attorney, a former colleague of mine, and a man who swore 12 years ago that he would destroy my career after I exposed his involvement in a fraud scheme that nearly sent innocent people to prison. The gallery erupts. Council members lean forward. Reporters abandon any pretense of neutrality. Price shoots to his feet. Objection! This is speculation and I am not finished. Kendra's voice cuts through his protest without raising its volume. The authority in her tone stops him mid-sentence. 12 years ago, I discovered that Jordan Corsair was accepting payments to manipulate evidence in criminal cases. I reported him to the state bar. His license was suspended, his career collapsed, and he told me, in front of witnesses, that he would make me pay for what I had done. She turns to face the gallery directly. This arrest was not about fraud. It was not about protecting the community from financial crime. It was revenge, orchestrated by a man with resources and connections, executed by officers willing to violate their oaths for payment, and designed to destroy me before I could take an office that would give me the power to expose exactly this kind of corruption. Councilwoman Vickers bangs her gavel, trying to restore order. The chamber has descended into chaos, reporters shouting questions, council members conferring urgently, citizens in the gallery expressing outrage and vindication in equal measure. Order! This hearing will maintain order. The noise subsides gradually. Kendra remains standing, composed, waiting. Ms. Hawthorne, Vickers says finally, do you have additional evidence to present? One final item, Councilwoman. She produces a USB drive. This contains the complete forensic analysis, chain of custody documentation for all exhibits, and additional communications recovered from Sergeant Terrell's devices that establish the full scope of the conspiracy. I am prepared to submit it into the record. Before Vickers can respond, movement in the gallery catches everyone's attention. A man stands. Silver hair, sharp features, expensive suit. Jordan Corsair, no longer hiding in the crowd, pushing toward the aisle with an expression that mixes fury with something approaching panic. This is a setup! His voice carries across the chamber. She fabricated all of this. She has always been. The doors at the back of the chamber swing open. Two figures in FBI windbreakers enter, followed by Lieutenant Aldridge in her dress uniform. Jordan Corsair, the lead agent's voice cuts through the chaos. You are wanted for questioning regarding allegations of conspiracy to obstruct justice, wire fraud, and civil rights violations under Title 18 United States Code Section 242. For a frozen moment, Corsair stands in the aisle, eyes darting between the agents and the exits, calculating, measuring. Then he runs. The chamber explodes into chaos as Corsair shoves past stunned observers, knocking an elderly man into a row of chairs. He hits the side door at full speed, bursting into the hallway beyond. The FBI agents pursue immediately, but Corsair has a head start and knows the building. He cuts left, then right, racing down a service corridor that most people never notice. Kendra moves without thinking, not toward the main exit where confusion reigns, but toward a secondary stairwell she remembers from her previous visits to this building. If Corsair is heading for the parking structure, there is a faster route. She takes the stairs two at a time, heels abandoned somewhere on the second landing. The concrete is cold against her feet, but she does not slow down. The parking structure door crashes open. Kendra emerges onto the third level just as Corsair appears from the vehicle ramp, keys already in hand. His Mercedes sits 20 feet away. Freedom sits 20 feet away. Their eyes meet across the oil-stained concrete. Kendra? He says her name like a curse. Still chasing me after all these years. You made it easy. She moves to block his path to the car, sending emails from traceable accounts, using officers too stupid to disable cameras properly, building a conspiracy with people who keep records. Behind her, She hears footsteps on the stairs. The FBI agents are coming, but Corsair is calculating the same thing, wondering if he has time to reach his car before they arrive. "You think you have won." His voice carries the particular venom of a man watching his plans collapse. "You think exposing me ends this, but you have no idea how deep this goes. How many people are involved? How much power is aligned against you?" "Then tell me." Kendra takes a step closer. "If you are so confident in your network, tell me who else is part of it. Give me names. Maybe the prosecutor will consider cooperation when they are deciding how many decades you spend in federal prison." Corsair laughs, a harsh, ugly sound that echoes off the concrete pillars. "You want names? Fine." He reaches into his jacket. Kendra tenses, ready to move if he produces a weapon. But what emerges is a USB drive. Small, black, ordinary-looking. "Do you know what is on this?" He holds it up, letting the fluorescent light catch its surface. "Everything. Every payment I have ever made. Every official I have ever purchased. Every crime I have ever facilitated. Judges, prosecutors, police chiefs, state legislators, federal officials. Names that would make your head spin." He takes a step toward his car, USB still raised. "And do you know what else is on here? Documentation of every case you have ever worked. Every shortcut you took. Every procedural irregularity you overlooked. Every ethical line you crossed to get convictions. I have been building this file for 12 years, Kendra, waiting for exactly this moment." The footsteps on the stairs grow louder. Seconds remain before the agents arrive. "If you let them arrest me," Corsair continues, "this drive goes to every news outlet in the country. Your career ends. Your reputation is destroyed. Everything you have built collapses. But if you let me walk away—" "No." The word stops him mid-sentence. "What?" Kendra reaches into her jacket pocket, produces an identical USB drive. "I copied your files 3 days ago." Her voice is calm, almost conversational. "Trevor Okonkwo is very good at what he does. When we traced the email to your Gmail account, we also accessed your cloud storage. Every document you just described is already in FBI custody." Corsair's face goes pale. "The difference is, your files contain fabrications designed to frame me. Our analysis proves they were created recently, using document manipulation software that leaves digital fingerprints. Whereas the evidence against you, the payments, the communications, the conspiracy, all of that is authentic, time-stamped, verified, corroborated by multiple sources." She takes another step forward. "You spent 12 years planning your revenge. I spent 3 weeks dismantling it. And the reason I won is simple. You were so focused on destroying me that you forgot to cover your own tracks." The stairwell door bursts open. FBI agents flood the parking structure, weapons drawn, shouting commands. Corsair does not move, does not run, does not try to negotiate. He just stares at Kendra with an expression of pure, concentrated hatred. "On the ground, now!" The agents close in. Corsair drops slowly to his knees, hands behind his head. The USB drive clatters to the concrete, spinning once before coming to rest against Kendra's bare foot. She picks it up, examines it briefly, then hands it to the nearest agent. "This contains evidence relevant to your investigation. He was attempting to use it as leverage." The agent nods, securing the drive in an evidence bag. Corsair is cuffed, raised to his feet, marched toward the waiting vehicles. As he passes Kendra, he stops despite the agent's grip on his arms. "This is not over." His voice is low, meant only for her. The people I work with, they do not forget, they do not forgive, and they do not stop. Kendra meets his eyes without flinching. Neither do I. The hours that follow blur together in a cascade of revelation and response. Sergeant Wade Terrell is arrested at his home at 11:42 a.m. The charges include false arrest, evidence tampering, conspiracy to deprive civil rights, and obstruction of justice. His badge and weapon are confiscated. His house is searched. His bank records are subpoenaed. Detective Marshall Vance, informed that he is now a subject of investigation, initially attempts to lawyer up. But when presented with the email evidence linking him to the conspiracy, he makes a different choice. I want to make a deal. His voice shakes as he sits in the FBI interview room. I can give you more names, more connections, people Corsair paid that you do not know about yet. The federal prosecutor leans forward. Start talking. At 1:15 p.m., Nina Presswood, the booking clerk who leaked information to the media, is escorted from the courthouse by two internal affairs officers. Her access badge is deactivated. Her personnel file is flagged. A resignation letter appears on her supervisor's desk within the hour. At 2:47 p.m., the Ridgewater City Council reconvenes for an emergency session. Councilwoman Vickers reads a prepared statement announcing the suspension of all officers connected to the Corsair investigation, pending criminal proceedings. At 3:30 p.m., a press conference is held on the courthouse steps, the same steps where Kendra was arrested 23 days ago. Chief Elena Robles of the Ridgewater Police Department stands before the cameras, her expression a mixture of shame and determination. The events of the past several weeks have revealed systemic failures within this department, she announces. Officers sworn to protect and serve instead participated in a conspiracy to frame an innocent woman and obstruct justice. On behalf of the Ridgewater Police Department, I offer my unqualified apology to Ms. Hawthorne, and I announce today that we have invited the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division to conduct a full pattern or practice investigation of our policies and procedures. The reporters shout questions, cameras flash. The story that began with handcuffs on courthouse steps has transformed into something much larger. At 5:15 p.m., Kendra sits alone in a borrowed conference room at the FBI field office, reviewing documents with Agent Denise Carver, a woman she worked alongside during a federal racketeering case 4 years ago. Someone she trusts. Someone outside the Ridgewater network. Vance is cooperating fully, Carver reports. He has given us 3 additional names. Officers who received payments from Corsair's network over the past 5 years. We are executing search warrants tonight. What about the warrant? Kendra asks. The one they used to arrest me. Vance could not have signed that. He does not have judicial authority. Carver's expression darkens. That is the part you are not going to like. She slides a document across the table. A printout from the county court system, showing the warrant in question with its mysterious emergency authorization stamp. We traced the digital signature embedded in the authorization stamp. It belongs to Judge Marcus Whitfield. Kendra's breath catches. The Chief Judge of Ridgewater County Circuit Court. He signed the warrant after your arrest, backdated it to make it appear legitimate, then uploaded it to the system to create a paper trail. Carver leans back. Corsair has been paying him for 7 years. We found 17 transactions totaling over $200,000. The weight of the revelation settles onto Kendra's shoulders. Judge Whitfield. She has appeared before him dozens of times. Respected his rulings. Trusted his integrity. And all along, he was part of the machine designed to destroy her. We are building the case now, Carver continues, But federal judicial corruption charges require extensive documentation. It could be weeks before we are ready to move. Weeks he can use to destroy evidence, coordinate with other conspirators, maybe disappear entirely. We have surveillance on him. He is not going anywhere. Carver pauses. But you are right. He is dangerous, and he knows we are coming. This case just got a lot bigger. Stay with me. Like this video if you want to see justice served. The arrest of Judge Marcus Whitfield occurs 6 days later at his home in the gated community of Ridgewater Estates. The timing is deliberate. Early morning, before he can establish alibis or alert potential co-conspirators. Kendra watches from an unmarked vehicle parked across the street as federal agents approach the front door. She is not supposed to be here. This is not her operation, not her jurisdiction, not her case to make. But she needs to see this, needs to witness the moment when another piece of the conspiracy falls. The door opens. Whitfield appears in a bathrobe, coffee cup in hand, his expression shifting from confusion to recognition to fear in the space of 3 seconds. Judge Marcus Whitfield, the lead agent's voice carries clearly through the morning air. You are under arrest on charges of conspiracy to deprive civil rights, obstruction of justice, and bribery of a public official. You have the right to remain silent. The Miranda warning continues as Whitfield is handcuffed, carefully, respectfully, with none of the violence that characterized Kendra's own arrest. The hypocrisy is not lost on her. As he is led to the waiting vehicle, Whitfield's eyes scan the street, looking for allies, looking for rescue, looking for any sign that the machine he served will protect him now. His gaze finds Kendra's face in the unmarked car window. For a long moment, they simply look at each other. Judge and defendant. Predator and prey. Except now the roles have reversed. Whitfield looks away first. The weeks that follow establish the rhythm of accountability. Jordan Corsair is denied bail, deemed a flight risk, with the resources to disappear. He awaits trial in federal custody, his attorneys filing motion after motion in a desperate attempt to delay the inevitable. Judge Whitfield, facing similar evidence, initially maintains his innocence. But when prosecutors present the digital trail linking his authorization stamp to the fraudulent warrant, complete with metadata showing the document was created after Kendra's arrest, his resistance crumbles. I want a deal, his voice echoes in the federal courtroom during a closed hearing. I can give you more names. The names he provides open new investigations. A state senator who received campaign contributions from Corsair's shell companies. A federal prosecutor who buried cases that threatened Corsair's interests. A police chief in a neighboring county who looked the other way when evidence pointed toward Corsair's network. The machine Corsair built was larger than anyone suspected. Its tentacles reached into every level of government, every branch of law enforcement, every institution that citizens trusted to protect them. Dismantling it takes months, will take years, may never be complete. But every arrest sends a message. Every indictment demonstrates that impunity has limits. Every conviction proves that the system, however imperfect, can still hold the powerful accountable when someone is willing to push. The swearing-in ceremony occurs on a Thursday morning in late April, 41 days after her arrest. 41 days of investigation, documentation, revelation, and reform. The main courtroom of Ridgewater County Courthouse seats 200 people. Today, it holds 263, with another 100 watching via live stream in the adjacent overflow room. Kendra stands before Chief Justice Raymond Hollister of the Florida 4th District Court of Appeal. 71 years old. 3 decades on the bench. The kind of judicial gravitas that makes proceedings feel historic simply by his presence. Raise your right hand. Kendra raises her hand. Her left rests on a volume of Florida statutes, not a religious text, but the law itself. Do you solemnly swear that you will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States and of the state of Florida, that you are duly qualified to hold office under the Constitution of the state, and that you will well and faithfully perform the duties of District Attorney of Ridgewater County, on which you are now about to enter? So help you? The words carry weight that everyone present understands. I do. Chief Justice Hollister nods. By the authority vested in me by the state of Florida, I hereby confirm your appointment as District Attorney of Ridgewater County. May you serve with honor, integrity, and an unwavering commitment to justice. The room erupts. Pastor Eleanor Gaines is on her feet, tears streaming down her face. Trevor Okonkwo pumps his fist in the air. Lieutenant Aldridge permits herself a small smile, the first genuine warmth Kendra has seen from her. In the back of the courtroom, Agent Carver watches with professional satisfaction. The case she helped build has resulted in something tangible, something lasting, something that will ripple outward for years. Kendra stands at the podium, accepting the applause, but her mind is already elsewhere, already cataloging the work that remains, the cases to review, the reforms to implement, the system to rebuild. The celebration continues through the reception that follows. Food appears from somewhere. Music plays. The atmosphere is less formal ceremony than community gathering, which Kendra realizes is exactly what it should be. She moves through the crowd accepting congratulations and listening to stories. An elderly man who remembers segregation. A young woman who says she decided to apply to law school after watching the hearing footage online. A mother who holds her daughter's hand and says simply, "She needs to see this. She needs to know it is possible." Each conversation reinforces why the fight matters, why the cost was worth paying, why she will continue pushing against systems designed to resist change. The evening of her swearing in, Kendra sits alone in her new office, the office of the District Attorney of Ridgewater County. The furniture is standard government issue. The walls are bare. The desk holds nothing except a laptop, a legal pad, and a folder that has lived in her briefcase since the investigation began. She opens the folder. Inside, the documentation of everything she has uncovered. The evidence that brought down Corsair and Whitfield and Terrell and the others. The connections between corrupt officials across multiple jurisdictions. The financial records showing payments and bribes and kickbacks stretching back years. And one document that still haunts her. An email recovered from Corsair's files, part of a longer chain that established the conspiracy. But this particular message has a sender address that consists only of asterisks, redacted by whoever compiled the file. The recipient line shows 2 initials, J.M., not Jordan Corsair, not Judge Marcus Whitfield, someone else, someone higher up the chain, someone who gave orders rather than followed them. The content of the email is brief. Hawthorne appointment confirmed. Proceed with contingency plan. Ensure nothing traces back to principal stakeholders. Principal stakeholders. The phrase suggests a network larger than anything she has yet exposed. People with enough power to communicate in code. People with enough resources to redact their own identities from their own files. People who are still out there. Kendra closes the folder, sets it aside. opens her laptop to review the case files that now demand her attention. But the question lingers like smoke in a closed room. Who is JM? And what will they do next? The trials proceed through summer and into fall. Jordan Corsair is convicted in September. Guilty on all counts: conspiracy to obstruct justice, wire fraud, civil rights violations, bribery of public officials. The evidence is overwhelming. Emails, financial records, witness testimony from officers who chose cooperation over loyalty. At his sentencing hearing, Kendra exercises her right as a victim to deliver an impact statement. 23 days. She stands at the podium, facing the man who tried to destroy her. That is how long I was under suspicion for crimes I did not commit. 23 days of investigation, documentation, and preparation for a moment I was not certain would ever come. Corsair stares straight ahead, refusing to meet her eyes. But 23 days is nothing compared to the damage you caused over 12 years. The cases you manipulated, the officials you corrupted, the innocent people who suffered because you believed you were above accountability. She pauses, looks directly at him. You told me once that you would make me pay for exposing you. You said you would destroy my career, my reputation, everything I built, and you almost succeeded. But the difference between us is simple. I fight for justice. You fight for yourself. And justice is bigger than any one person, including me. The judge sentenced Corsair to 34 years in federal prison, with no possibility of parole. As he is led away in handcuffs, the same handcuffs that once closed around Kendra's wrists, their eyes meet briefly. What she sees is not defeat, not remorse, just the cold recognition of a man who has lost completely and knows it. Judge Whitfield's plea hearing follows in October, 22 years in exchange for testimony against remaining members of the network. Disbarment, forfeiture of pension, complete cooperation with ongoing investigations. His allocution is brief and hollow. I lost my way, he tells the court. I told myself it was just politics, just the way things worked. I was wrong. The words ring empty. Contrition after conviction carries a particular uselessness. But his testimony opens new avenues of investigation, new names, new connections. The machine continues to crumble, piece by piece. We are almost at the end. But the biggest revelation is still coming. The message arrives on a Tuesday evening in late November. Kendra is working late, reviewing case files for the next day's hearings, when her direct office line rings. The caller ID shows a number she does not recognize. Area code 850. Tallahassee. District Attorney Hawthorne. Silence. Then breathing. Then a voice. Male, older, carefully modulated to disguise its natural timbre. Congratulations, Ms. Hawthorne. You won this round. Her hand tightens on the receiver. Who is this? Someone who has been watching your career with great interest. Someone who is impressed by your resilience. Not many people survive what you survived. Fewer still emerge stronger. If you have information relevant to an ongoing investigation, contact the FBI field office in Jacksonville. Oh, I have information. The voice carries amusement that makes her skin crawl. But not the kind I share with federal agents. I called to deliver a personal message. Consider it professional courtesy from one strategist to another. I am listening. Jordan Corsair was a tool, useful for a time, but ultimately disposable. Judge Whitfield was the same, a means to an end that outlived his utility. The officers, the witnesses, The officials? Replaceable components in a machine much larger than any of them understood. Kendra's mind races, cataloging the voice, the phrasing, anything that might identify the caller. What machine? The one that keeps certain people in power and certain other people in their place. The one that operates regardless of which party holds office or which reforms are announced. The one that you, despite your admirable efforts, have barely scratched. You are describing conspiracy theories. I am describing reality. The reality you glimpsed in Corsair's files. The reality that made Margaret Hollis decide to betray her employer. The reality that Judge Whitfield feared more than prison, because he knows what happens to people who become inconvenient. The line hums with electronic silence. Why are you calling me? To offer advice, free of charge, no strings attached. The voice drops lower. Stop digging. You have accomplished something remarkable. Genuine accountability for genuinely corrupt individuals. Take the victory. Build your career. Run for higher office in a few years. There is a path forward for you that leads to influence and real impact. And if I continue investigating, then you will learn what Corsair learned, what Whitfield learned, what everyone eventually learns who pushes too hard against structures designed to resist pushing. A pause. You are talented, Ms. Hawthorne. It would be a shame to waste that talent on a cause that cannot be won. The line clicks dead. Kendra holds the receiver for a long moment, then sets it gently in its cradle. The call confirmed what she suspected. The conspiracy extends beyond the individuals who have been arrested, beyond Ridgewater, beyond anything she has yet uncovered, and now they know she will not stop. The weeks between that phone call and the new year pass in heightened vigilance. Kendra varies her routes to work, has her office swept for surveillance devices, pays attention to vehicles that appear too frequently in her vicinity. Nothing happens. No more threatening calls, no mysterious packages, no obvious surveillance. Just the ordinary rhythm of prosecutorial work, cases to review, hearings to attend, decisions to make. But the absence of action is itself information. Whoever called her is watching, waiting, evaluating whether the warning took effect. On the first anniversary of her arrest, Kendra sits in her office after hours, the folder from her investigation open on the desk. 1 year since Terrell's hands closed around her wrists. 1 year since she sat in a holding cell wondering if her career was over. 1 year since she began the work of transformation. The email with the redacted sender still haunts her. JM. 2 initials. A ghost in the machine. Someone with enough power to order the destruction of a district attorney and enough caution to leave no trace. Her phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Happy anniversary. The game continues. She reads it twice, then deletes it. The game does continue. It will continue long after she is gone. But today, in this moment, she is still playing, still fighting, still standing. The reforms she implemented have taken root. Body camera compliance exceeds 90%. Evidence handling procedures follow federal standards. Complaint mechanisms actually function. The relationship between police and community, while still strained, shows signs of healing. 47 cases from the Corsair era have been reviewed. 14 convictions have been vacated due to tainted evidence. 8 individuals have been released from incarceration, men and women who served time for crimes manufactured by the same network that tried to destroy her. Every case reviewed, every injustice addressed. Every wrong made as right as the system allows. It is not enough. It will never be enough. But it is something. The package arrives on a Thursday morning in late spring of her second year as district attorney. No return address. Standard courier delivery from a local service that accepts cash and does not require identification. Inside, a USB drive and a single sheet of paper. The paper contains a list of names. 21 people, each followed by a title and location. Congressional staffers, state officials, judges in 4 different jurisdictions, federal employees whose agencies she does not immediately recognize. At the bottom of the list, handwritten in neat script, the machine continues. These are its current components. What you do with this information is your choice. No signature, no return address, no way to verify authenticity. She stares at the list for a long time, then opens her secure laptop, inserts the USB drive, and begins to read. The files take weeks to fully analyze. Working with Agent Carver and a small team of federal investigators she trusts absolutely, Kendra cross-references each name against financial records, property holdings, and communication metadata. Of the 21 names, 14 show patterns consistent with corruption, unexplained income, suspicious timing of official decisions, connections to entities that trace back, through multiple layers, to some of the same offshore accounts that funded Corsair. 14 people, scattered across 6 states, connected by threads so fine that no single investigation would ever discover them. We cannot pursue all of these simultaneously, Agent Carver says during one of their secure briefings. Not enough resources, not enough evidence for indictments on most of them. Then we start with the ones we can build cases against. Kendra's voice is steady. One at a time, methodically. That could take years. Then it takes years. The prosecutions proceed through her second year, through her third, through her fourth. Each conviction generates new evidence, new connections, new names to investigate. The machine, it turns out, is larger than even the anonymous informant suggested. But every component removed makes it weaker. Every prosecution sends a message. Every conviction demonstrates that impunity has limits. Kendra builds her office into something she can be proud of. Prosecutors who care about justice. Investigators who follow evidence. A culture of accountability that extends from the newest intern to the district attorney herself. The community responds. Trust rebuilds slowly. Citizens who once feared the system begin to use it. Witnesses come forward. Victims speak up. The relationship between law enforcement and the people it serves inches toward something healthier. It is not perfect. It will never be perfect. But it is better. The final message arrives 5 years after her arrest. She finds it on her desk one morning. An envelope with no postmark, no return address, no explanation of how it arrived in a secured building. Inside, a single photograph and a handwritten note. The photograph shows Kendra at her swearing-in ceremony, hand raised, taking the oath. Someone captured it from a high angle, perhaps from the courthouse balcony. The note reads, "You have been impressive, genuinely. The machine is weaker because of you, but machines can be rebuilt. Components can be replaced. And the people who control the levers of power have very long memories. We will be watching. Enjoy your victory. You earned it, J.M." Kendra reads the note 3 times, studies the photograph, considers the implications. Then she walks to her window and looks out at the city she has protected for 5 years. The courthouse steps where she was arrested. The streets she patrols with reformed officers. The community centers funded by forfeiture money from corrupt officials. Somewhere out there, JM is watching, planning, waiting for the right moment to strike. But somewhere out there, people are also watching her. Citizens who believe in accountability, officers who chose integrity, investigators who follow the truth wherever it leads. She is not alone. The machine continues, but so does the resistance. Kendra folds the note carefully and places it in the folder that has lived in her desk drawer for 5 years. Evidence, documentation, memory. Then she returns to her desk, opens the next case file, and begins to read. Tomorrow, she will continue the fight. Tomorrow, she will push back against systems designed to protect the powerful. Tomorrow, she will prove again that accountability is possible, even for people who believe themselves untouchable. Because that is what justice requires. Because that is who she is. Because in the end, no matter how powerful the machine becomes, there will always be someone willing to stand against it. And today, that someone is her.